Trade wars and the return of the Panama Canal. It's 5 and 10 from Skywatch TV. 5 things you need to know in about 10 minutes for Tuesday, February 4th, 2025. I'm Derek Gilbert. Item number 5 today, trade wars. Looked like they were about to kick off over the weekend as President Trump announced 25% tariffs on goods from Mexico and Canada, 10% on Chinese goods. But just like that, they're gone, or at least paused for 30 days on the goods from Mexico and Canada, as over the weekend, President Sheinbaum of Mexico and Prime Minister Trudeau of Canada announced that each country would send 10,000 of their troops to our shared borders and try to stop the flow of fentanyl into the United States, as well as illegal migrants. Very interesting that this was done in exchange for a 1-month pause in the 25% tariffs that have been promised. It appears that people in Mexico City and Ottawa did some numbers and came up with the same conclusion I shared with you yesterday, that the United States would probably benefit from high tariffs on imported goods from Mexico and Canada, while they would suffer because we import a lot more from them than they import from us. I don't think President Trump really wants to kick off a trade war with Mexico or Canada, but just wanted to say, hey, look, we need some help here. Little help stopping the flow of fentanyl, which is killing tens of thousands of Americans per year, and also these illegal migrants. Maybe we need to do something about that. So this appears to be the beginning of a long-running friendship between the United States, Mexico, and Canada, at least better cooperation. By the way, we should also mention that since President Trump's inauguration on January 20th, illegal alien encounters at the southern border, the border between the U.S. and Mexico, have dropped by an average of 94% during the first week and a half of President Trump's term in office compared to the last 2.5 weeks of Joe Biden's term. 94% reduction. It's amazing what a little muscular diplomacy can do. And that leads to topic number 4, Panama, where Panama's President Jose Raul Mulino said his country would not renew its memorandum of understanding with China for participation in China's Belt and Road Initiative. This was after a visit from new Secretary of State Marco Rubio. Panama becoming the first Latin American country to leave China's Belt and Road Initiative, which is not something that President Xi welcomes. Bad news for him, because Panama is a key component in China's influence, or its attempt to influence things in the Western Hemisphere. Chinese businesses currently operate ports at both ends of the Panama Canal, which the United States owned and operated until shifting control to Panama in 1999. That was the work of the late President Jimmy Carter. But following his meeting with President Mulino, Secretary Rubio said the United States, quote, cannot and will not allow the Chinese Communist Party to continue with its effective and growing control over the Panama Canal area, end quote. Again, all of this taking place in the first 2 weeks of President Trump's term. Topic number 3, Gaza. Despite denials of the Netanyahu administration, the Palestinian Authority is in charge of the Rafah crossing into Gaza from Egypt. Senior officials in Jerusalem confirmed that Israel gave up its presence at the Rafah crossing. This fact kept from the Israeli public, obviously not a very popular move among Israelis. Running the crossing are senior officials with Fatah, which is the Palestinian Authority's political party working from Ramallah in Samaria, what the world calls the West Bank. Fatah and Hamas have a very adversarial relationship, to say the least. Some 20 years ago, when Hamas seized control of Gaza, they did it by murdering the Fatah operatives in Gaza. Anyway, Israel involved in the time being with approving those who cross the Rafah crossing, but only leaving Gaza to go into Egypt. The point there is the Fatah officials who manage the crossing now, along with a European force and Egyptian security officials, is to keep Hamas and other Islamist terrorist elements from the crossing. They're not letting any of them escape, and they're not letting anybody in. But again, Israel, despite denials, is no longer in control of the Rafah crossing. Item number 2 today, the air disaster in Washington, D.C. Some new information has come out over the last few days about the crash over the Potomac River last Wednesday night. The air traffic controller on duty, this according to the New York Times now, should have had a colleague in the tower on duty. They're supposed to have 2 people on duty inside the tower at Reagan National Airport until 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, after which air traffic slows down to the point where one person can handle 2 stations. One controller is supposed to watch airline traffic coming in, the other looking at helicopter traffic in Washington, D.C., of which there is a lot. Government officials would rather fly around in helicopters than have to get on the crowded roadways in Washington, D.C. to get from place to place. Anyway, for some unknown reason, a supervisor inside the tower allowed one of the controllers to go home early, which is why there was one person managing both stations. Now, did that contribute to the crash? We don't know. Listening to air traffic control radio communications, recordings after the fact, it sounded like the person in the tower was aware of what was going on and that the crew inside the Army Black Hawk helicopter, which collided with American Eagle Flight 5342, thought they were looking at the incoming flight and had avoided it when in fact they were looking at the plane coming in behind, 2 minutes behind the one that they collided with. We also now know that according to flight recorder data, American Eagle Flight 5342 was at about 325 feet altitude when it collided with the helicopter, but data from air traffic control in the tower showed the helicopter at about 200 feet. Now, that is the maximum limit that helicopters are supposed to fly in that particular corridor along the Potomac River because of traffic at Reagan National Airport. Now, it seems to me that 125-foot buffer between airline traffic and helicopters is slim, but I'm not a pilot. I don't have any experience. I don't know. Okay? I do know this. It is Reagan National Airport is very crowded. It was designed originally to handle about 14 million passengers per year. It's currently doing about 25 million passengers per year, which means that planes are landing and taking off very close together. The fact is, though, that accidents, the reason this has gotten so much news attention is because this is the first major air accident in the United States in 15 years. Now, when we go out in our cars every day, do we think about the fact that more than 30,000 Americans die every year on our highways? No, most of us don't anyway. So again, airline traffic, airline travel is still the safest way to get from place to place. But this appears to be an example of what's referred to as the Swiss cheese model of safety. There are various layers of safety protocols. This apparently is something that's taught to people in flight school. But no safety protocol is absolutely foolproof. Every level has some hole in it. And the hope is that if something passes through a hole in one layer of safety, the next layer will catch it. It's only when the Swiss cheese holes align in a very horrible way that you get an accident like what happened last Wednesday night. And again, it does appear that although the final analysis of this this tragic accident won't be written for many, many months yet, it does appear that this was just the awful result of human error. Coming up, the State Department has some helpful advice for you if you plan to travel to Somalia. That's next on 5 and 10.
You can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and our continued efforts to share the gospel of Jesus Christ throughout the 4 corners of the world and receive your very own copy of this incredible masterpiece when you order the World Before the Flood special offer. Not only does this incredible opportunity include Rick Renner's new book, fallen angels, giants, monsters, and the world before the flood, how the events of Noah's Ark and the flood are relevant to the end of the age. But it also includes the best-selling book, Giants, Gods, and Dragons, Exposing the Fallen Realm and the Plot to Ignite the Final War of the Ages by Derek and Sharon Gilbert with companion DVD. This incredible book and DVD set reveals the actual identities of the four horsemen of the apocalypse, the identity of Nimrod, and the true location of Babel. Why the wild beasts that accompany the deadly rider on the pale horse might actually be disease-causing viruses, and so much more. Sold separately, these items hold a retail value of nearly $100. Yours now for your donation of only $45, which includes free shipping to all U.S. orders. So don't delay. You can support the ministry of Skywatch TV and help us continue spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ right now by scanning the QR code on your screen using the camera app on your phone for instant access to this special opportunity. You can visit us at skywatchtvstore.com or call 1-844-750-4985 and ask for the World Before the Flood special offer right now.
Item number 1 today. If you're planning to travel to Mogadishu, Somalia, the U.S. Department of State has some helpful advice for you. This is off the State Department's website. If you want to visit Somalia, these are among the steps recommended by the U.S. Department of State. Draft a will. Discuss funeral wishes with loved ones. Make a plan for custody of your children. Pick a family member to be the point of contact for hostage takers. In other words, if you're kidnapped and held for ransom, decide in advance who you want negotiating with the kidnappers. And leave DNA samples with your medical provider in case those are needed to identify your remains. In short, even though Mogadishu's beaches look lovely, it is still a country that has an ongoing civil war. And while the U.S. government appears to think that traveling to Somalia is rather foolish, it is not going to stop you if you choose to act foolishly. This week on Skywatch TV, we continue our discussion with Rick Renner about his new book, World Before the Flood. Fascinating stuff. What was it about the world before the flood, the days of Noah, that Jesus connected to the time of his return? That and more is part of this fascinating discussion. Like, where is Noah's Ark? Don't miss these programs. You can find them right now at our website, skywatchtv.com. All of our video content is always there. Now, if you watch our broadcast, our over-the-air broadcast, the schedule is posted at skywatchtv.com/channels. It's the same program. It's just if you're choosing to watch it on your favorite Christian television network, that's where you can find it and when you can find it. You can also bring it right into your big screen using Roku, Apple TV, or Amazon Fire TV. If you've got a Fire Stick, Roku, or a smart TV preloaded with Roku or Fire TV, add the Skywatch TV channel from their app stores. It's a great way to do it, and it bypasses the gatekeepers of big tech. Now, you can watch it over the internet, youtube.com/@Skywatch Television. Subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit that like button. Also, rumble.com/Skywatch TV, or you can bring it right into your mobile device, smartphone or tablet. We've got apps for iOS, Android, and Amazon Kindle Fire phones and tablets. And to make it easy to find the right app for your device, we've got the app stores, links to the app stores, that is, at our website, skywatchtv.com/app. 5 in 10 is at YouTube at 5 in 10. Please subscribe, share, click the bell for notifications, hit the like button. And you can also find us on X, formerly Twitter, X, the address there at 5_in_10. And thank you for watching as we keep watch. I'm Derek Gilbert. This is 5 in 10 from Skywatch TV.